I'll be researching sports and brain injuries that are caused by sports. This is not for a class, it's just something I'm interested in. Usually, when I search for something, I usually use the more mainstream um, search engines like Google, or I might even go to Wikipedia. Not necessarily because they're the most accurate, but because, like I said, they're the mainstream ones, so those are the ones I always use. And when I type in something, I generally um, put exactly what I'm looking for first. If not, then I'll switch around words. So for this, I'd say sports and brain injuries, which is exactly what I am looking for. And if I can't find something that's related to what I'm looking for, then I'll start switching around words and try to just use the keywords such as sports or brain or injuries, things of that nature. Let's see. So I pull up the page and it's at aans.org. Since it's an organization, I tend to trust it just a bit more than I would maybe .coms, because anyone could have a .com web page. And it says sports-related head injuries, traumatic brain injuries, which is precisely what I'd be looking for. And it pulls up statistics of what sports and how many people are injured. So the highest ones seem to be football and cycling, which is actually rather interesting. I didn't realize cycling was caused that much brain injuries. Let's see. So generally, on a lot of pages that I've done for other or other topics that I've done for English, normally there's a source at the bottom of the page. If not, then I try to type in on the page itself like sources, and usually it pulls up the source or the page, the in-page citation, and I just copy that way. Whenever I do write a paper, I'm not doing plagiarism, and I'm just citing it as well as I can. But generally, just about every web page that I've gone to, there's there seems to be a citation already on the page for other uses. So after I find one page, I try to go to others. That way I'm not just specifically citing one place. And normally I've never had a paper that asks for one source. There's always multiple sources, at least the ones I've done this semester. There's been at least 3 to 5 sources, but I always search for just a tad bit more and just pick and choose which ones I prefer. Let's see. So here it says head injuries or injuries to the scalp, skull, or brain, anything that may cause that. And normally if I don't, which I don't know a whole lot. I mean, I know it's common sense. You know, you play football, you're gonna have brain injuries. These large men hitting each other, but there's the details that I don't know, like how exactly, maybe the science behind it. And generally, I like to incorporate that into papers, things that not the normal person would know, such as how exactly the fracture happens, or things of that nature. Or like here it says, what's the proper response to a concussion or other sports related injuries? Maybe ways you could prevent them. So I'd probably start off with what they are and what causes them, but also ways you could prevent them. And maybe give a brief summary of how I feel about them, depending on what may be asked. And normally, I've when I do research, I don't think I've ever done research in the library unless it was required. Normally, I'd go home, just go on my own computer, and then just maybe because I feel more comfortable, but I just don't see the reason why I should do it in the library unless I'm supposed to. So I know this year a couple of times we were in the library because of we had a couple of assignments and they were in the library and we were told specifically to go to the library. So that's why I cited my sources or I went online at the library. But if I didn't have to, honestly, I would just do it at home because I really don't see the big difference unless I, like I said, had to, or if I was checking out a book and I was already there, then I think if I didn't have the resources at home, maybe a printer and a computer at home, then I definitely would use the library a whole lot more. But since I have access to those, I don't really use the library. And the only time I've gone to the library this year, other than for classwork, was just to print something out really quick since I live 30 minutes away from here, so it'd take me a little while to get home. But other than that, I just Google hasn't failed me yet, and neither has Wikipedia, and that's really the sources that I tend to usually embark on, use the most. Let's see. And normally, different pages have different reasonings. Like WebMD, I've actually used WebMD for personal things, but I didn't realize that they actually had articles on brain injuries for um, traumatic disorders. So once I'm done with Google, I usually go to Wikipedia and check that out as well, see what they've got to say. And normally, sometimes when I search on Google, it just takes me to Wikipedia anyways. That's usually, I've noticed, one of the first few sources that Google pulls up is Wikipedia. So I essentially get to Wikipedia by using Google. I have used others. I remember back in middle school I used to use Ask Jeeves. I actually haven't gone on there in years. I don't know why, but mostly because Google, like I said, it hasn't failed me yet, so I see no reason. But Ask Jeeves is a pretty good search engine that I used to use. Others, I might use Yahoo every now and then, and that's mostly because I have an email with Yahoo, and sometimes if I'm already on Yahoo page, might as well just search if I'm thinking about something or need to search for something like the traumatic brain injuries, which normally I check my email, go on Yahoo. If I'm already on the page, then I will use Yahoo. But if not, then Google's the first place to go. And it's I'd probably in the future actually, now that I think about it, would use more search engines because there's each one pulls up different things, and this one is pulling up other things that actually seem rather legit, things that I could actually use for my research paper. So I probably would honestly use these more often. As far as I know in class we used I can't remember the name. Some search engine from the library on Lamar, um, and it was actually pretty helpful, but it wasn't helpful to the point where I'd leave Google, I guess. I can't remember the name of it, but they gave us uh, worksheets on it, and it has all the email addresses on there in the links. And that's usually what if I ever do need to use the library or Google or any other search engine isn't working for me, then I'll pull up that piece of paper and then just look it up. But generally, I don't memorize or remember those because I don't use them very often. And like I said before, a library is not really a place I go to very often. So I've used Google, I've used Yahoo, went on Ask Jeeves briefly, and I don't think I've used anything else that I can think of. Maybe Um, Actually, back when I first started uh, using the internet, I used to use I think it was AOL. I think it was something. I don't remember the search engine for that, but I used to use something else. But that's been outdated. I don't remember exactly what it was. Um, but Wikipedia is more so. I don't really go on there for. I actually just go on there for general reading. So like a more specific topic, like I know in Google how I just put the traumatic brain injuries. I could type that into Wikipedia and it'd be easier in my opinion because it'll just focus specifically on that. It may have a small little area where it says injuries in sports, but it won't go too broad into it. It would just say like how it says here, diagnosis, prevention, treatment, things of that nature. So if I'm just going for more of a like specific topic, as in that, it usually goes in pretty good detail. Now Wikipedia, though, I've heard a lot of negative things about how anyone could go in there and edit it. I mean, that may be true, but honestly, I feel like most of it's accurate enough for me to cite it. But I have been told before by teachers they'd rather me not use Wikipedia. So if it's for class, I probably would stay away from Wikipedia. If it's more so, or unless they say I can use it, then I will use Wikipedia. So I actually enjoy Wikipedia. It's actually one of my favorites, if not the favorite search engine next to Google. I think.